The stars looked peaceful in the deep black of space. But peace was about to end. High Admiral Vexter stood on the bridge of his massive warship. His 6 eyes studied the holographic display floating before him. The blue and green planet called. Earth spun slowly in the projection. It looked so small, so weak, so easy to conquer. "Tell me about this world again," Vexter said to his intelligence officer. The younger alien stepped forward. His name was Subcommander Thekmor, and he had studied many worlds before their conquest. "The planet is called Earth, Admiral. It has one large moon. The dominant species calls themselves humans. They have only recently developed basic space travel." Vexter's scaled lips curved into what might have been a smile. "How many ships do they have?" "Our scouts report less than 50 vessels capable of leaving their planet's atmosphere. Most are small research ships or cargo haulers. We have not detected any serious military vessels. And we bring 300 ships of the line," Vexter said with satisfaction. "This will be the easiest conquest in Zephyrian history." The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems. Their military was the strongest in this part of the galaxy. They had destroyed civilizations that had ruled space for thousands of years. A primitive world like Earth would fall in days, maybe hours. "There is one thing, Admiral," Thekmor said carefully. "I have been studying our historical databases. There are no records of any species ever attempting to conquer this world." Vexter turned his attention from the display. "What do you mean?" "The planet has been known to galactic civilization for over 2,000 years. Many species have explored this region of space. Yet none have ever tried to claim Earth. It seems unusual." "Unusual how?" Thekmor pulled up another display. "Look at these other worlds in the same region. All have been conquered or claimed by various species over the centuries. But Earth remains untouched. It is as if other civilizations have avoided it." Vexter waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Perhaps they simply never discovered it. Or perhaps they found nothing of value there. But our scans show it is rich in resources. The planet has abundant water, metals, and energy sources. It should have been conquered long ago." "Then we will be the first," Vexter declared. "The Zephyrian Empire will succeed where others have failed. Or perhaps others have simply been too weak to try." Far across the galaxy on a space station orbiting Earth's moon, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison was having a very different conversation. Jake sat at his communications console, listening to the strange signals his equipment had picked up. The sounds were unlike anything in the databases. They were clearly artificial, clearly intelligent, and clearly not human. "Commander Barnes," Jake called to his superior, "you need to hear this." Commander Lisa Barnes walked over to Jake's station. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and serious eyes. She had been running the Deep Space Monitoring Station for 5 years, and she had never seen Jake look so concerned. "What is it, Morrison?" Jake played the recording. The alien voices spoke in clicking, whistling sounds that made no sense to human ears. But underneath the alien language, there were numbers. Mathematical patterns that both humans and aliens would understand. "These are coordinates," Jake said. "Fleet positions, movement orders. Someone is organizing a large group of ships, and they're all heading toward our solar system." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "How many ships?" "Based on the communication patterns, I estimate at least 200 vessels, maybe more." Lisa stared at the display screen. For 50 years, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was not good news. "Get me a secure channel to Earth Defense Command," Lisa ordered. "Priority Alpha." Within minutes, Lisa was speaking directly to General Pete Collins at the Global Defense Council. Headquarters. The general was a big man with gray hair and a face that had seen too many wars. He listened to Lisa's report without interruption. "How long do we have?" he asked when she finished. "At their current speed, maybe 2 weeks before they reach Earth orbit. Send me everything you have. Every recording, every analysis, every guess about their intentions." "Sir, what are we going to do?" "If they have 200 ships and we only have 50, Commander Barnes, the general said quietly, there are things about Earth's defenses that are not in the public record, things that have been classified for decades. Just keep monitoring those signals and report any changes. The connection ended, leaving Lisa staring at a blank screen. She looked at Jake, who had been listening to the entire conversation. What did he mean about classified defenses? Jake asked. I don't know, Lisa said, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. On Earth, General Collins was already walking into the most secure meeting room in the Global Defense Council building. Around the table sat the most powerful leaders on the planet. The President of the United States, the Prime Minister of the European Union, the Chairman of the Asian Alliance, and 12 other world leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, Collins began, we have a problem. He activated the holographic display and showed them the same image that Vexler had been studying. Earth, small and blue, hanging in the vastness of space. An alien fleet is approaching our solar system. They appear to be hostile. We have 2 weeks to prepare. The room erupted in shocked voices. Questions flew from every direction. How many aliens? What do they want? Are we going to die? Collins raised his hand for silence. Dr. Stevens will brief you on what we know about the aliens themselves. Dr. Amy Stevens was a small woman with blonde hair and intelligent green eyes. She had spent her entire career studying the possibility of alien life. Now that possibility had become a terrifying reality. Based on their communications, they appear to be a military species, she began. They organize their fleets like an army. They use mathematical concepts similar to ours, which suggests they are highly intelligent. Most importantly, their approach pattern suggests they intend to conquer Earth. What are our chances? Asked the President. Dr. Stevens looked around the room. Against a fleet of 200 advanced alien warships? Under normal circumstances, we would have no chance at all. But these are not normal circumstances, General Collins said. It's time to tell them about the Guardian Project. Meanwhile, the Zephyrian fleet continued its approach to Earth. Admiral Vexler felt confident in his coming victory. His ships were fast, his weapons were powerful, and his soldiers were experienced, but Subcommander Thekmore could not shake his unease. He had spent the last few days searching through every database the Zephyrians had access to. The more he learned about Earth, the more worried he became. Admiral, he said during the daily briefing, I have found something disturbing. What now, Thekmore? I have been studying the ancient galactic communication networks. There are old warning signals that have been broadcasting for thousands of years. Most are about dangerous planets or space hazards. And there are warnings about Earth, Admiral, very old warnings. They speak of a world that destroys those who try to conquer. They call it the graveyard of empires. Vexler's eyes blazed with anger. Are you suggesting we should retreat from a primitive world because of ancient ghost stories? I am suggesting we should be careful, Admiral. Perhaps there is a reason no one has ever successfully attacked Earth. The only reason is that no one has had the courage to try, Vexler declared. The Zephyrian Empire fears no ghost stories. We will take this world, and we will add it to our empire. But even as he spoke those confident words, Vexler felt a small doubt creeping into his mind. What if Thekmore was right? What if there really was something dangerous about Earth? He pushed the thought away. The Zephyrian fleet was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Nothing could stop them now. The fleet continued toward Earth, and the countdown to disaster began. 2 weeks later, the Zephyrian fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Admiral Vexler stood on his bridge, watching the blue planet grow larger on his screens. Soon, it would belong to the Zephyrian Empire. Begin standard conquest protocols. He ordered. The fleet's communications officer opened a channel that broadcast on all frequencies. Vexler's voice carried across space in dozens of different galactic languages. Primitive inhabitants of the third planet, he began. I am High Admiral Vexler of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world is now claimed by our empire. You have one of your planetary rotations to surrender completely. If you resist, your species will be destroyed. This is your only warning. The message reached Earth in minutes. In the command center of the Global Defense Council, General Pete Collins listened to the translation with a grim expression. Around him, military officers from every nation on Earth waited for his response. "Get me Captain Carter," Collins said. Captain Nick Carter was aboard the Earth Defense Force vessel Defender, humanity's newest and most advanced warship. He was a tall man with black hair and steady blue eyes. He had been chosen for this moment because he never backed down from a fight. "Captain Carter," Collins said over the secure channel, "you have the honor of giving humanity's first official response to an alien species." Nick looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, hundreds of alien ships were waiting. For his answer, he activated the communication system. "This is Captain Nick Carter of the Earth Defense Force," he said clearly. "I am speaking for all humans everywhere. This is Earth. This is our home. You are not welcome here. Turn your ships around and go back where you came from. You have been warned." On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Vexler listened to the translation with amusement. "They actually think they can fight us," he said to his officers. "How entertaining." Subcommander Thekmur was not amused. "Admiral, perhaps we should reconsider. These humans sound very confident for a primitive species." "They sound like fools," Vexler replied. "We will show them what happens to fools who challenge the Zephyrian Empire." He turned to his weapons. "Officer, destroy 3 of their asteroid mining stations. Nothing that will harm the planet itself, but enough to show them our power." The mining stations were small facilities built on asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. They were operated by robots and only a few human workers. The Zephyrian ships targeted them with precise energy beams. The first station exploded in a ball of fire and debris, then the second, then the third. The message was clear: this is what happens when you defy us. But the human response was not what Admiral Vexler expected. Instead of panic, Earth's military began moving with incredible speed and coordination. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields suddenly powered up their engines. Bases that had been disguised as mining operations revealed themselves as military installations. Weapons platforms that had been floating dark and silent in space came online. "Where did all these ships come from?" asked the Zephyrian sensor officer. Admiral Vexler stared at his tactical display. Where there had been 50 human vessels before, now there were over 200. They were smaller than Zephyrian ships, but they were fast and they were everywhere. "It appears they were hiding their true strength," Thekmur said quietly. One of the human ships was different from the others. It was painted black and moved like a shadow through space. This was the stealth reconnaissance ship Shadow, commanded by Kate Williams. Kate was a woman who had trained for space combat her entire life. She was smart, quick, and absolutely fearless. She had volunteered to lead the first attack against the aliens. "All right, people," she said to her crew over the ship's communication system. "This is what we trained for. Let's show these aliens what humans can do." The Shadow and 5 other ships approached a group of Zephyrian vessels that had separated from the main fleet. The aliens detected them when they got close, but by then it was too late. Kate's ships attacked with weapons the Zephyrians had never seen before. Missiles that could change direction in flight. Energy beams that could punch through alien shields. And most surprising of all, tactics that made no sense. Human ships would attack, then retreat, then attack from a different angle. They would work together in ways that confused the alien commanders. They fought like they were angry, like they were defending something precious. 3 Zephyrian ships were destroyed in the first battle. 2 more were badly damaged. The humans lost only 1 ship, and even that crew managed to escape in life pods. Admiral Vexler watched the battle reports with growing disbelief. "How is this possible? They are primitives." "Perhaps they are not as primitive as we thought," Thekmur suggested, but the real surprise came when the human ships retreated. They had fought hard, damaged several alien vessels, and then pulled back. Admiral Vexler expected them to keep fighting until they were destroyed, like most species did. Instead, they had gathered intelligence. They had studied Zephyrian weapons, tactics, and ship designs. They had learned, and they had escaped to share what they learned with the rest of the human fleet. They are studying us, Vecmore realized. That attack was not meant to destroy us. It was meant to learn how we fight. Sub-Commander Vecmore spent the next few hours digging deeper into the galactic communication networks. What he found made his blood run cold. The ancient warning signals were stronger now, as if the approach of the Zephyrian fleet had awakened something that had been sleeping. The messages spoke of a world that had been prepared for war since the beginning of time. They warned of guardians that would awaken when Earth was threatened. Most disturbing of all, they spoke of other fleets. Dozens of them. All had come to conquer Earth over the centuries. None had ever returned home. "Admiral," Vecmore said urgently, "I have found something you must see." But Admiral Vexler was in no mood to listen to more warnings. The successful human attack had wounded his pride. No primitive species had ever dared to damage Zephyrian ships and lived to tell about it. "Enough of your ancient stories," he snapped. "We came here to conquer a world, and that is what we will do." He turned to his fleet commanders. "All ships, prepare for full assault. We will crush these humans and take their world. Any ship that tries to resist will be destroyed." The order went out to the entire Zephyrian fleet. 300 warships began moving toward Earth, their weapons charging, their shields at full power, but as they advanced, more human ships appeared. They came from behind asteroids, from the shadows of planets, from places where no ships should have been able to hide. Kate Williams, back aboard the Shadow, watched the alien fleet approach. She had studied their tactics during the first battle. Now she knew their weaknesses. "All units," she broadcast to the human fleet, "remember what we learned? They are strong, but they are not invincible. Fight smart, fight together, and we will protect our home." The second battle was about to begin. But this time, the humans were ready. Admiral Vexler watched the tactical display with growing concern. The human fleet was larger than his intelligence had suggested. Their ships were better armed than he had expected, and they fought with a determination that he had never seen before. Perhaps, he thought to himself, we should have listened to those ancient warnings, but it was too late for doubt now. The Zephyrian Empire had committed itself to this battle. They would either conquer Earth or die trying. The fate of two species hung in the balance as the fleets moved toward each other through the cold darkness of space. The moment Admiral Vexler ordered the attack on Earth itself, something deep beneath the planet's oceans began to stir. Ancient machines that had waited in silence for thousands of years suddenly came to life. Captain Ben Foster was 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean in his submarine explorer when it happened. Ben was a quiet man with steady hands and sharp eyes. He had been mapping the ocean floor for the Global Defense Council when his instruments went crazy. "What the hell is that?" asked his navigator, Lieutenant Sam Parker. The sonar screen showed something impossible. Massive structures were rising from the ocean floor. They were bigger than mountains, made of materials that did not exist in any human database. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "I'm getting energy readings that are off the charts. Whatever those things are, they're putting out more power than our entire electrical grid." Ben stared through the submarine's viewing window and saw lights in the darkness. Not the small lights of deep-sea creatures, but huge blazing lights that turned the black water into day. "Get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command," he ordered. "They need to know about this immediately." The first Guardian station broke the surface of the Pacific Ocean like a metal island being born. It was enormous, easily 10 miles across, made of a silver metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Strange symbols covered its surface, symbols that hurt to look at directly. Similar stations were rising from oceans all over the world. The Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, the Arctic Sea, everywhere. The ancient Guardians were awakening. Dr. Amy Stevens was in the Global Defense Council Command Center when the reports started coming in. "General Collins," she said, her voice shaking, "we have Guardian stations rising from 12 different ocean locations. The energy output is beyond anything we've ever measured." General Collins looked at the satellite images on his screen. The Guardian stations were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked like they had been built by gods. Dr. Stevens, he said quietly, what exactly are we looking at? These are the builder defense systems, she replied. According to the old records we found, they were placed on Earth millions of years ago. They were designed to protect the planet and test any species that might try to conquer it. In space, the Zephyrian fleet was beginning to experience problems. Admiral Vexter noticed it first when his main weapons systems started to malfunction. Engineering. What is wrong with our weapons? Sir, we're getting massive interference from the planet below. Some kind of energy field is disrupting our systems. Fix it. We're trying, sir, but the interference is getting stronger. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Across the Zephyrian fleet, the same thing was happening. Advanced alien technology that had conquered dozens of worlds was shutting down piece by piece. Navigation systems failed, weapons went offline. Even basic life support systems began to flicker. Admiral, Subcommander Thekmore reported, we're losing ships across the fleet. Not to enemy fire, but to system failures. Whatever the humans have activated, it's making our technology stop working. Admiral Vexler felt panic rising in his chest. How many ships have we lost? 47 ships are completely dead in space. Another 100 are experiencing critical system failures. Sir, we need to retreat immediately. But retreat was no longer possible. The Guardian stations had created an energy field that surrounded the entire solar system. Any ship that tried to activate faster-than-light travel found its engines simply would not work. Commander Holly Martinez was aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship Liberty when the Guardian stations came online. Holly was a smart woman with red hair and green eyes who had spent years studying alien technology. Captain, she called to her commanding officer, I'm receiving a communication from one of the Guardian stations. It's not using any human language, but somehow I can understand it. The voice that spoke to her was neither male nor female, neither young nor old. It was the voice of a machine intelligence that had been waiting for eons. Greetings, Guardians of Earth, the voice said. I am the primary guardian, the artificial intelligence left by the builders to protect this world. You have proven yourselves worthy by defending Earth against conquest. The ancient protocols are now active. What does that mean? Holly asked. It means that Earth's true defenses are now online. The species that attacked your world will be judged according to the ancient laws. You, as Earth's protectors, will be given access to the knowledge and technology of the builders. Holly felt a strange tingling in her mind, as if new information was being downloaded directly into her brain. Suddenly, she understood technology that had been beyond human comprehension moments before. The Guardian stations will disable all hostile vessels, the primary guardian continued. The attacking species will be given a choice, surrender and learn the error of their ways, or face the fate of all who choose conquest over cooperation. Throughout the human fleet, similar conversations were taking place. The Guardian AI was speaking to every human commander, sharing knowledge that had been hidden for millions of years. The Zephyrian fleet was now completely helpless. Ship after ship went dark as the Guardian field overwhelmed their systems. Admiral Vexler watched his mighty armada become a collection of floating metal shells. Sir, Vekmore said desperately, we must signal surrender. We cannot fight this. But Admiral Vexler was staring at something on his personal display. His ship's computer had managed to access the galactic historical databases one last time before it failed. What he saw there made him understand the true magnitude of his mistake. The files showed the remains of other fleets. Dozens of them. All had come to Earth over the centuries with the same goal, conquest. All had been destroyed by the Guardian stations. The ocean floors around Earth were littered with the wreckage of ships from 100 different species. We are not the first, he whispered. No, sir, Thekmore replied. According to these records, we are the 43rd species to attempt conquest of Earth. None of the previous 42 fleets ever returned home. Admiral Vexler finally understood why no one had ever successfully attacked Earth. It was not because the planet was weak or hidden. It was because Earth was the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. What happens now? He asked. Now we face the judgment of the builders, Vecmar said, and we hope they are merciful. The Guardian. Stations continued to rise from the oceans, their ancient light casting strange shadows across the surface of the water. The technology of the builders was fully awake for the first time in millennia, and it was ready to deliver justice to those who had dared to threaten Earth. In the command center of the Liberty, Commander Holly Martinez was learning things about the universe that no human had ever known. The primary guardian was teaching her about the true history of the galaxy, about the builders who had created Earth as a test, and about humanity's destiny among the stars. Your species has passed the first test, the guardian told her. You chose to defend rather than conquer. You fought with honor rather than cruelty. You are worthy to inherit the knowledge of the builders. What about the aliens who attacked us? Holly asked. They will be judged according to their actions and their willingness to learn. Those who can change will be allowed to join the galactic community. Those who cannot will share the fate of all conquerors. The final judgment was about to begin. The Zephyrian fleet hung motionless in space, their ships dark and powerless. Admiral Vexler stared out at the blue planet below, knowing that his pride had led his people to disaster. Around Earth, the Guardian stations glowed with ancient power, their energy fields keeping every alien vessel trapped. Admiral, Sub-Commander Vecmar said quietly, we are receiving a communication from the humans. On the main screen, the face of General Pete Collins appeared. The human general looked tired but determined. Behind him, Admiral Vexler could see the command center of Earth's defense forces. Admiral Vexler, General Collins began, I am General Collins of the Earth Defense Command. Your fleet is now under the control of the Guardian stations. Your weapons are disabled, your engines are offline, and your life support systems will fail in 6 hours unless you listen to what I have to say. Admiral Vexler felt his remaining pride crumble. What do you want, human? We want to talk. The Guardian stations have given your people 2 choices. The first choice is surrender. You will submit to judgment, learn about your mistakes, and possibly join a new galactic alliance under human leadership. The second choice is to continue your aggression and face the same fate as the 42 other fleets that tried to conquer Earth. What happened to those other fleets? General Collins looked directly at the alien commander. They are buried in our ocean trenches, Admiral. Every ship, every crew member, every species that chose conquest over cooperation. Earth's oceans are full of the wreckage of those who thought they could take our world by force. Admiral Vexler closed his eyes. He had led his people into a trap that had been waiting for thousands of years. The builders had created Earth as a test, and the Zephyrian Empire had failed that test completely. If we surrender, he asked, what happens to my people? That depends on you, General Collins replied. The Guardian stations will judge your species based on your willingness to change. If you can learn to value cooperation over conquest, you will be allowed to join the galactic community. If you cannot change, you will never leave this solar system. Admiral Vexler looked around his bridge. His officers were waiting for his decision. Sub-Commander Vecmar nodded slightly, encouraging him to make the right choice. General Collins, the Admiral said slowly, the Zephyrian Empire formally surrenders to Earth and requests terms for our survival. 6 hours later, Admiral Vexler found himself aboard the human space station Harmony. The station was built specifically for this moment when Earth would need to negotiate with alien species. The meeting room was simple but comfortable, with chairs designed for both human and alien bodies. General Collins sat across from him, along with Dr. Amy Stevens and Commander Holly Martinez. The human delegation was small but represented the combined authority of Earth's governments. Admiral, General Collins began, the Guardian stations have shared their judgment with us. Your species has been evaluated based on your history, your actions during this conflict, and your willingness to change. And what is their decision? Dr. Stevens leaned forward. The builders designed Earth as a testing ground for species that might threaten galactic peace. You failed the test by choosing aggression over diplomacy. However, you passed a different test by choosing surrender over destruction when faced with overwhelming force. What does that mean? Commander Holly Martinez spoke next. It means your species gets a second chance. The Guardian stations have decided that the Zephyrian Empire can be reformed. But there are conditions. Admiral Vexler waited. First, General Collins said, your military expansion must end immediately. No more conquest, no more forcing other species to submit to your rule. Second, you must release all species currently under Zephyrian control and help them rebuild their civilizations. Third, you must accept human guidance in learning how to coexist peacefully with other species. And if we agree to these terms, then you become the first alien species to join the Terra Covenant, Dr. Stevens explained. Earth will share builder technology with you. Your people will have access to knowledge that is millions of years old. You will help us contact other species and invite them to join a new kind of galactic civilization. Admiral Vexler thought about his options. The Zephyrian Empire could accept these terms and survive, or they could refuse and face destruction. The choice was not difficult. On behalf of the Zephyrian Empire, he said formally, I accept these terms. General Collins smiled for the first time since the crisis began. Welcome to the Terra Covenant, Admiral. 1 year later, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Discovery. He was no longer the communications officer who had first detected the Zephyrian fleet. Now he was a captain, leading a joint human-Zephyrian mission to contact other species in the galaxy. Beside him stood Sub-Commander Thekmore, who had become the first Zephyrian to serve aboard a human ship. The former enemy had become a trusted friend and advisor. Captain, Thekmore said, we are approaching the Corvani system. Their species has been isolated for centuries, but our scouts report they have developed space travel. Jake nodded. Open a channel on all frequencies. Let's see if we can make some new friends. The message they broadcast was very different from the one Admiral Vexler had sent to Earth a year ago. Instead of threats and demands, it offered friendship and cooperation. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Terra Covenant exploration vessel Discovery. We come in peace, seeking to establish friendly relations with your species. We offer knowledge, technology, and membership in a growing galactic community based on mutual respect and cooperation. The response came quickly. The Corvani were curious about these visitors who offered friendship instead of conquest. Back on Earth, the Guardian stations had returned to their rest beneath the oceans. But their presence was still felt throughout the galaxy. The ancient warning signals that had once warned species away from Earth now carried a different message. Earth stands as guardian and guide to all species seeking to join the galactic community. Come in peace and friendship, and you will be welcomed. Come in conquest and aggression, and you will face the judgment of the builders. The message was heard across hundreds of star systems. Some species were curious, others were afraid. But all understood that something had changed in the galaxy. Admiral Vexler, now serving as the Zephyrian representative to the Terra Covenant, often thought about the mistake that had changed everything. His pride had nearly destroyed his people, but it had also led them to something better than conquest. He had learned that true strength came not from forcing others to submit, but from inspiring them to cooperate. The humans had shown him that the greatest victories were won not through war, but through peace. The galaxy was entering a new age, guided by the small blue planet that had once seemed so weak and defenseless. Earth had become the center of a growing alliance of species who chose cooperation over conquest, friendship over fear. And in the depths of Earth's oceans, the Guardian stations waited patiently for the next test, ready to protect the world that had become the hope of the galaxy. The aliens had learned too late why Earth was never attacked. But they had learned in time to save themselves and help build a better future for all species among the stars. The Zephyrian fleet pushed deeper into Earth's solar system, but every mile brought new surprises. Admiral Vexler expected to face scattered resistance from a few dozen primitive ships. Instead, he found himself fighting a war against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. Human ships emerged from the most impossible places. They came from inside asteroid fields where no ship should have been able to hide. They rose from beneath the ice surface of Europa, Jupiter's moon. They appeared from the shadow of Saturn's rings, where they had been waiting in complete darkness. "How many ships do these humans have?" demanded the admiral. His sensor officer was sweating despite the cool air on the bridge. "Sir, our count is now over 400 human vessels. They keep appearing from locations we already scanned." Admiral Vexler felt something he had not experienced in decades of conquest. He felt uncertain. On Earth, in the deepest levels of the Global Defense Council, Dr. Amy Stevens was briefing the world's military leaders about secrets that had been hidden for 50 years. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "what I am about to tell you has been classified since 1975. We have known about alien civilizations for over half a century." The room fell silent. Even General Pete Collins, who knew many secrets, looked surprised. In 1971, our deep space probes detected artificial signals from other star systems. By 1975, we had confirmed the existence of at least 12 different alien civilizations. The world's governments made a decision that day. Instead of announcing contact with aliens, we decided to prepare for war. She activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. But this was not the solar system that most people knew about. This version was filled with hidden bases, secret shipyards, and weapon platforms that had been built over decades. Every major nation on Earth contributed to this project. We called it the Guardian Initiative. For 50 years, we have been preparing for exactly this moment. General Collins stood up. "Dr. Stevens, how many ships do we actually have?" "Our current operational fleet consists of 637 combat vessels. We also have over 2,000 automated defense platforms throughout the solar system." The world leaders stared at her in shock. They had been told Earth's defense force was tiny. Now they learned it was massive. "There's more," Dr. Stevens continued. "We have been reverse engineering alien technology for decades. Every piece of debris from crashed alien ships, every artifact we found in deep space, every signal we intercepted, we studied it all." She showed them images of weapons that looked nothing like human technology. "These are our most advanced combat systems. They were designed specifically to fight alien ships." At that moment, Colonel Ryan Murphy was preparing to deploy those very weapons. Ryan was a tall man with scars on his face from years of secret missions. He led a unit called the Shadow Corps, soldiers who officially did not exist. "All right, people," Ryan said to his team as they prepared their ships for launch. "Today we find out if 50 years of preparation was enough." The Shadow Corps flew ships that looked like nothing else in the human fleet. They were black, angular, and covered with technology that seemed to bend light around them. These ships had been built using alien science that humans had slowly learned to understand. Ryan's ship, the Phantom, led a squadron of 12 similar vessels toward the main Zephyrian fleet. The aliens detected them when they got close, but their weapons could not lock onto the strange human ships. "Fire at will," Ryan ordered. The Shadow Corps attacked with weapons that made the Zephyrian shields flicker and fail. Energy beams that could cut through alien armor like paper. Missiles that could think for themselves and find the weakest points in enemy ships. 3 massive Zephyrian cruisers exploded in the first 30 seconds of the attack. 2 more were crippled and falling. Toward Jupiter's gravity well, Admiral Vexter watched his finest ships die and felt fear for the first time in his military career. "What kind of weapons are those?" "Admiral," his science officer reported, "the energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Some of these weapons appear to be based on technology that is thousands of years old. Impossible. These are primitives. They only developed spaceflight recently." "Sir, I am reading energy patterns that match ancient builder technology." Admiral Vexler felt his blood turn cold. The builders were a legend, a species that had ruled the galaxy eons ago before mysteriously disappearing. No one had seen Builder Technology and living memory. Sub-Commander Thekmor had been working frantically in the communication center, trying to decode the ancient warning signals that grew stronger with each passing hour. Finally, he succeeded. The message was clear. And it was terrifying. Warning to all species, the world known. AS Earth is under the protection of the Builders. Any attempt to conquer this world will result in the activation of ancient defense systems. Earth serves as the final test for species seeking to join the galactic community. Those who attack Earth prove they are unworthy of advanced technology. Those who protect Earth prove they are ready to inherit the galaxy. The message repeated in dozens of ancient languages, some so old that the translation computer could barely understand them. Thekmor ran to the bridge with the decoded message. Admiral, you must read this immediately. Admiral Vexther read the warning 3 times before its meaning sank in. Are you saying that Earth is some kind of test? Yes, sir. According to this message, the Builders created Earth as a testing ground. Any species that tries to conquer it faces destruction. Any species that protects it gains access to Builder technology. That explains why the humans have such advanced weapons, the science officer added. They are not primitive at all. They are the chosen guardians of a Builder world. Admiral Vexler looked at his tactical display. His fleet of 300 ships was being systematically destroyed by human forces that seemed to have unlimited resources and impossible technology. Nearly a third of his vessels were already damaged or destroyed. Admiral, Thekmor said urgently, we must retreat. We cannot win this battle. But Admiral Vexler's pride would not allow retreat. He had conquered 47 worlds. He had never been defeated in battle. He would not be the first Zephyrian commander to run from primitives. No, he said firmly. We came here to conquer this world, and we will succeed. I don't care if they have Builder technology. I don't care if. This is some ancient test. The Zephyrian Empire has never been defeated, and we will not be defeated now. He turned to his fleet commanders. All ships, focus fire on the planet itself. If we cannot defeat their ships, we will destroy their world. Thekmor stared at his commander in horror. Sir, if you attack the planet directly, you will trigger the full activation of the Builder defenses. The warning message was very clear about that. Then we will face whatever comes, Admiral Vexler declared. Zephyrians, do not retreat. The order went out to the remaining ships of the fleet. They began charging their most powerful weapons, preparing to bombard Earth itself, but as they did, something began to happen in the depths of Earth's oceans. Ancient machines that had slept for millennia started to wake up. Energy readings spiked. Across the planet, as systems older than human civilization came online, the real battle was about to begin, and Admiral Vexler had no idea what he had just unleashed.